Here's another video from Norwich 93 CMP. This is the M1 Garand. We're going to remove the stock ferrule from the rifle. Let's say you wanted to clean it up, or maybe it's the wrong type, or maybe your stock is not worth anything anymore. Maybe it's cracked, or you just want to replace the stock, but you want to keep the ferrule. I'm going to show you how to remove it and then clean it up and put it back on. I'm going to try to do this totally on the camera if I can. First things first, here inside, right here, is this screw that holds in the swivel. Sometimes it's upset or dented to prevent the removal of the screw. You need to be very careful when you're backing it out. Sometimes it can break. You can see there's a little minor chip missing from removal. This one's a stamp type variety. Does not have a hole in it, but I want to remove it from the stock. The first thing I do is you have to loosen the screw. I have good threads. I'm going to use the M10 tool. I try to use the tools that are assigned to the rifle as a soldier would have as much as possible, and when I can't, I'll use something else. So you pass the cleaning rod through the M10 tool. And of course, I must have really tightened it down. And I'm loosening the screw. I had the swivel now is loose. It was tight before, so I know I'm opening it up. And then what I'm looking at now is that there's a gap, and I'll show you where that gap is. There's gaps now in between here. Now sometimes you can spread those apart. I don't recommend it in the beginning. What we're going to attempt to do now, we're going to use a hammer and a piece of wood. As I did in one other video, I do light taps. I'm using a piece of cherry wood, which is harder but yet soft, and I'm going to gently tap lightly towards the front of the rifle until I see a bow misalignment here. Alright, so she came off a little bit up at the top. You can see it spreading apart up in here also. Do it again, keeping my hammer off the wood. This is actually on an angle like this, so I don't hit the wood. I'm hearing a sound difference. Sometimes you can be able to take the swivel and hold the rifle and rock it back and forth. This one I still can't right now. Sometimes on the inside you can get a softer piece of smaller wood. I like to use cedar also. It's a lot easier to make smaller parts to cedar than it is other hardwoods. Have a little bit of a rounded edge to it. I can put that in there, and I can tap from the inside also. Whatever you do, try not to do this. If you do this, you're going to put dents in the wood. If at all, you need a large, flat type of object to get in there. If you're going to use like a screwdriver, you want to go across to get the main amount of wood. And you can gently pry it. If it's not working, sometimes you could spread this open. This one happens to be as far as it can go. So what I'm going to try to do is loosen it up again. Oh, it went a little bit more. Okay. Now I'm going to try to spread it apart a little bit more, and then use the hammer again. Ah, there we go. If you look really close, you'll see ridges. A gap where there's no ridges. You want to make sure that this whole face is clean if you're going to put it back on, and these ridges are clean. Inside the stock ferrule itself, you can see the ridge details. The best thing to do here is to take some CLP or something and make sure that all these ridges are clean if you're going to put it on something else. Sometimes you might have to get like a little bit of a military style brush, such as this. Some kind of CLP on there, clean it all out. I'm going to check my threads in here, make sure they're clean as best as possible also. Let's say this is the stock ferrule that I want to put back on the rifle. Like I said here, this, you got to make sure this is clean also. In the channel area also. And my face is clean. When I put it on, I like to start up at the top. And you should be able to press it in a few, and you'll hear the ridges clicking as you're pushing it on. Do the best you can by hand first. I can't push it any farther. Now, for this is probably one of the most easiest ways to put it on. I gently tap on one side, and then I'm going to alternate and do it on the other side. And I'm going to concentrate on the flat areas here and here. Try not to go across the top, because then you'll start bowing it. And you don't want to do that. You want to try to get it on straight at a time, ridge by ridge. So I'm going to tap here, and then top to the bottom portion. You can hear it sending it home. And then alternate again. And you know it's home when your gap is gone here. Check for uniformity. Make sure on the inside it's all the way down against the wood, and on the right side. Now it's good to go. Now I can tighten it up. Some people's preference, they tighten it so that the swivel for the sling is up and away from the wood. You can see here, this is from binding. It's all your personal preference. Maybe you can't get the screw all the way to tighten. Some people actually will grind down the swivel in there so that you can't over tighten it, so it's always loose. This one I can actually tighten. It's wide enough and will stand upwards. That's how you remove and reinstall an M1 Garand stock ferrule.